Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Season 3 of the Blessed Mess Podcast. I'm your host, Maria Buskirk. Hi, welcome to the Blessed Mess Podcast. I'm your host, Maria Buskirk. In this podcast, we're going to be tackling the hard-hitting topics of being a Christian teenager or young adult in today's society. So, we're getting kind of raw and real today. I'm currently filming this at 9 o'clock at night. I just got out of the shower and I have no makeup on or anything like that. I'm hoping the microphone blocks my face enough that it'll be fine. But yeah, we're getting super cozy in here this evening. I've got my little late night tea to get me through. But I'm really excited to film this. I filmed this originally. Whoa, I just punched my microphone. I originally filmed this last week, and I had it edited and ready to post, but for some reason, it would not upload, so I wasn't able to actually post it. This was supposed to be the video for last week, but, well, this video isn't, but, I already had this topic filmed for last week, but I didn't get to put it out, and I was also traveling last Friday, so I wasn't able to put it up. And truly, I'm really glad that I wasn't able to, and I think that was truly a God thing, because as I, went back through, I realized there was a lot of points that I missed and I didn't hit that I wish I could have. So I just decided, even though I had it edited and ready, and it would have been good, I felt this just feeling on my heart I had more to say. So I'm re-filming this. I'm going to re-edit it and have it out for this Friday as you're watching. And I'm really excited to put it out. So let's get into it. Guys, I want to introduce you to my little buddy here, my little friend. This, if you're watching, is Franklin. Oh my gosh, I just knocked over my mic again. This is Franklin the fox. If I hit this microphone one more time, I might just shut it all down. He's my weighted friend, so he's my favorite thing to sleep with at night because it's just so calming. But yes, this is Franklin. Oh, I literally just clocked my microphone with Franklin's face. But yes, I just wanted to put a little highlight moment on him. I should go through and show you all of my little things occupying my bed. My little friends. I'm not weird, I promise. They're just my little cozy throw pillows or stuffed animals. You know the gist. I'm just a girl. This one's by far probably my favorite thing ever. This is a banana squishmallow. It's huge. I got it at our Walmart for $15. And I low-key feel like it's pretty hard to find, I've heard. But I could be wrong about that. But I just love it. So anyway, back to our regularly scheduled program. I also just want to talk about how much better I am feeling now that the weather is getting better. Guys, I was going through it for a minute there. The weather was really putting me in a dark place and I was not vibing. And now that the weather's getting better, one, I'm just super pumped for summer. I'm so excited. But on the other hand, I don't want to do any responsibilities that I have to do. All of a sudden, I don't want to do any of my schoolwork, even though I literally have a week left. And I could just grind through and get it all done now and then be done with it. But I just can't do it. I can't do it. I can't put my mind to it. And honestly, I've just been really busy anyway, so I haven't really gotten to it. But I just really am excited for summer, guys. I just want to have no schoolwork to do anymore. I want to focus on this podcast. I want to hang out with friends. I want to get ready with all my internship stuff, get fun social media stuff out. I'm so excited. Obviously, I'll still be working during summer, but that's okay because I only worked till 3 in the afternoon, so then I had the rest of the evening to do whatever. So I'm just really hyped for summer, guys, and I just feel such a boost in my mood ever since the weather has gotten better. And I've started listening to country music, which is which is like a little hidden message that means I'm ready for summer, because I will pretty much only listen to country music during the summer just because it has that good vibe for summer. But yeah, I don't know about y'all, but I'm just so hyped for summer, and I'm so glad that the weather's finally like cooperating and it's no longer a frozen tundra outside. So, because that went on for way too long, and it was just like a really cold and gross winter. So I'm very hyped. But getting back to what we were going to be talking about today, speaking of weather and it being completely out of our control, even though we all wish for good weather all the time, and speaking of lack of control, today we're going to be talking about control, or our lack thereof. So, getting into it. If you know me well, you know that I have lived the majority of my 19 years of living having so much control over my life, like an unhealthy amount. And, well, so I think I will have so much control, and at least think that I do have so much control, and freak out when things don't go the way that I want them to. And I just don't want to, for like, I want to say 17 years, I didn't want to let things out of my control. I wanted to have all the control, even though I knew deep in my heart God's in control, and I knew deep in my heart that it's best for him to be in control rather than me, because what do I know? I couldn't release it. So through majority of my life, it was really hard for me to just not have control, and it took several uppercuts in my life for me to finally be like, I can't do this. I cannot do this anymore. And I shouldn't have to. I shouldn't have to get to the point where I'm like, I can't do this. And it took me, like I said, 17, 18 years to finally be like, God, you can handle it. I can't. I surrender it to you. You take it. I can't do it. And sometimes that's not a forever thing. I can't always just be that way. Sometimes in certain situations that I want to have that control, I will still want to pick it back up and be like, I got it. And I gotta realize, like, I just gotta release it. Because me having control as a human is probably the worst thing. Because I'm just gonna screw it up. God's got it. He has this perfect plan for me. And me taking control of it is just going to mess it up royally, and it's not worth it. And so, with me struggling to have control, I'm still working on it. It's a work in progress. I'm not completely, like, always able to surrender everything. For the most part, I think I do pretty well with it now, but it still is a work in progress. It takes me a long time, and it has taken me a long time to finally realize that I may think that I have so much control, but as humans, we don't really have much control over anything. And thank God for that. Thank you, God, that you are in control and not me, not you, not any of us. Because, like I said, we would screw it up. And we don't need to have control. Do you know how much pressure and weight that is to have all that control, or to want all of that? on our shoulders, all that stress of worrying about if this goes this way and this goes this way. We don't need to worry about it. And you know something really scary about control? If we think that we need to be in control, we don't need God. We are striving to be God in that situation. If we want all the control, we're basically saying, God, I don't need you. I can be my own God because I'm in control. We can do everything we want to set ourselves up for a certain path, control our lives however we want to get us ready and prepared for this life that we want for ourselves. But there's something so huge that can throw a huge wrench in any of our plans. And that, my friends, is free will. Let me explain. Free will is a great thing. God loves us so much that he gives us the option to love him and choose to follow him and have a relationship with him and to make our own decisions and to choose our path, whether it agrees with what he tells us or if it maybe doesn't align with what he wants for us, you know? And so free will can be a great thing. Don't lose me on that. However, free will can also be a very bad thing. Like I was saying, we can make decisions that don't align with what God is telling us, and that's what leads to sin. That is sin. God has a will for us, and he gives us that free will to hopefully have us align it with his will. But a lot of the times we could go against his will and we'll sin. That could have consequences on your life and other people's lives. So, for example, let's say someone wants to steal something from a local business, right? Someone makes a decision to steal something and not pay. Let's say they get caught. They're arrested for theft, and that is a direct consequence on their actions. And if you look even further into it, that theft, let's say that they did get away with it and don't get caught, that theft of stealing whatever plays a direct role in affecting the local business owner, manager, whoever, because of the theft, right? It hurts the owner because they're losing out on whatever you stole. So there are consequences for your life, for your decisions in your life, and there can be consequences for other people, even though they had nothing to do with your decision, but it was a direct consequence for your sin. So we might want to have all this control over our own lives, and I genuinely do just recommend you to just surrender it and keep surrendering it. You don't need to carry all of that, but that's another thing. What do we do in these situations where people's actions directly affect you and you have no control in the matter? What kind of reactions are we supposed to have in those scenarios? We can't control their actions. We can't control what they do. But what they're doing could directly affect you. What are we supposed to do if we can't control those other people? We might want to control everything in our lives to make it perfect for us. But ultimately, other people's decisions play a big role in our lives too. So what kind of steps do we take when we want to control other people, and we want to do everything we can to have them make the right decision, set them up for the right path, but they might completely disregard what you're doing. What kind of things are you supposed to do after that, when they do ultimately affect your life? One of the events that happened that finally let me release my control over my life, because it was truly one of those things where I was like, I don't have any control in this matter. And it sucks. It really sucks. But I have no control in it, and I just have to go through it. I can't control anyone else's actions. I can only control my reaction. And I just gotta feel it. So, let's see. This was like the first catalyst of a series of events that happened in a few short months that caused me to truly surrender that control. Let it go. I found out 2 summers ago that my parents were splitting up and getting a divorce, and their actions led to that. There were actions made and decisions made that led to that. I couldn't control their actions or reactions to what happened to lead to it. And I couldn't control the situation at all to make myself feel any better or make my life any better. But I just had to walk through that hurt from their actions. It directly affected my life, yet I had no control in the situation, no part in this situation, other than being a kid to these people. But I had no control over what they decided or what they did. But it still was so hard to go through that. And it was hard to figure out what to do next. I was constantly trying to think, what can I do to make this better? What can I do? What can I do? What can I do? There was really nothing I could do to fix it or make it better or make it easier, because I didn't have that control in the situation. And so I just kind of had to go through it. And I monitored my reactions to the situation. And that's all you can do. So let's break it down a little bit. You can only control your reactions, meaning whatever life throws at you, based on whatever. There are things out of your control. And it's not always just about other people's actions too. There are so many things that are out of your control. Like, there are illnesses, a bad diagnosis, natural disasters. There are things that are happening out of our control that don't really have to do with any other person's decision or action that leads to it, but there are still things like that that are out of our control, and we can only control our reactions to those things. So what kind of things do we do? Well, the first thing I would advise is to whatever kind of thing gets thrown at you that you don't know how to react to, take a step back and really process your emotions, your feelings through it. What kind of, your raw, real feelings. They don't have to be these, sugar-coated, oh, I'm fine, I'm good. Be raw and real with yourself. How are you feeling because of this? What kind of emotions are you truly feeling that are the hardest things to talk about? What are you feeling? I would start there, because lying to yourself does nothing. Another thing that I would say is really important, this never helped me. And I don't really know in any case when it will, personally, is playing the victim and letting this thing cause you to make excuses for everything. Oh, my parents are getting divorced. I can't do my homework. Like, you can't be the victim. The victim mentality is a vicious cycle, and you can't stay a victim. You have to realize that whenever you're in this kind of mentality, you might think like, God, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? And it might not be about you. It does happen to you, but it's not always about you. And you got to take a step back and kind of process that the real truth is we live here in this broken, messy world where people sin, people are broken and messy, and this world causes people to sin. There is an enemy here causing people to choose the wrong things, choose the wrong path, and it'll directly affect us. But sulking around will not fix anything. Fighting it and processing it and coming out a healthier person, stopping that vicious cycle, is way better and way healthier than making excuses for yourself. And that's such a hard truth, and I'm only saying that because I've been that person before. When things got really hard, it was so easy to just be like, oh, I just can't because this and this is happening. I just can't, like, it's just so easy to get that mentality, and then it's so hard to release it. So don't suck yourself into that position, because I'm just looking out for you, and it's not anything beneficial to you. In the situations where you're directly affected by someone else's actions, it might not be like a diagnosis or a disaster or whatever. This is specifically for this, like, when someone's actions directly affect your life. I recommend having a conversation with the person and communicate how their actions might have affected you and how you're feeling. One thing I don't think I've really talked about on here, but it was one of these events that really was like, okay, God, like, I release it, I surrender it to you. I can't do it. I can't have control. It was a time where me and my best friend Claire, we didn't speak for 6 months. We got in a pretty nasty fight, and I take a huge, big part of blame for that. Again, this is kind of what I was just talking about, of me, I don't want to say playing like the victim, being like a victim mentality, but I was already going through so much that I kind of blacked out almost her feelings, because I couldn't even begin to process someone else's feelings because I couldn't process my own. So I was living in this unhealth, and it directly affected her, and it led us to not speak for 6 months. Direct cause of someone else's sin. And my hurt was from someone else's. It becomes kind of like a chain event. It can. And in that case, it did. My hurt that I was dealing with that led to that was from someone else's actions that I couldn't control and I didn't process well enough. And so us finally getting back to being friends, it took many open, honest conversations, and many of them were very open and honest, but we just were still at this place of hurt that we weren't able to just reconcile. And so we had to process that hurt kind of on our own for 6 months until we were finally able to confront it and deal with it. And the way we did that was having that conversation, that open, honest conversation. And so I'm going to reference Matthew 18. If your brother or sister sins, go and point out their fault just between the two of you. If they listen to you, you have won them over. So, like I said, have that open and honest conversation. And if this has happened, like, through our fight, we weren't able to just have a conversation one-on-one because it wasn't getting us anywhere. We weren't able to really reach anything. We brought our youth leaders in and they helped guide the conversation and had kind of like that boundary also, so it wasn't just like a screaming match, not that we would do that, but you know what I'm saying. And so that goes into the next verse where it says, "But if they will not listen, take 1 or 2 others along, so that every matter may be established by the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses. If they refuse to listen, tell it to the church, and if they refuse to listen even to the church, treat them as you would a pagan or a tax collector." So ultimately what I'm saying here is that you need to confront it with the person. And I highly recommend, if you are not making any progress with that person, find a trusted adult that is a good leader, is very God-centered, and is going to speak life into this conversation to help you guys reach that place of reconciliation. Because that's what we had, and that's what got us through to that reconciliation. So yeah, keep an honest conversation with the person, and sometimes you gotta, like I said, process that hurt before you can reach that. And that's why I recommend recognizing your feelings first, because sometimes you just need to sit back and feel that hurt before you can confront this hard thing that you might be feeling, with a person. I recommend, no matter what the situation is, if it's something with another person or it's something just completely out of your control and it had nothing to do with someone else, I recommend you pray over the situation. Pray over it. There's so much power in prayer. So I recommend just praying over that situation. Maybe God's plan for you isn't to just cure that situation, heal that thing. Maybe God's will is different from what your hope is, but there's so much power in prayer in getting peace too. There were so many prayers that I had throughout that season of not speaking to her for 6 months where I just wanted it to get better. I wanted it to be fixed. I wanted that so bad. But even though I didn't get that for a really long time, for several months, I was still able to surrender it and have peace in the situation because of that prayer and surrender to God. So I recommend just praying over the situation. If you are going through a tough time with another person, I suggest praying for that person. When you might be like in an argument or a fight with somebody and you have this like bad feelings towards them, you might despise them. You might actually hate them. You might be very upset with them, very angry with them. You might be very frustrated with them. Whatever kind of harsh feeling you might have towards that person, there's a lot of power in prayer over that person, in that forgiveness side of it. That prayer over that person could soften your heart towards them. Loosen up your heart a little bit, make it a little less hard. And there's so much power in that prayer too. I hope you can also pray over your worry in the situation. Again, like I said, that peace. Find that peace in the situation. Even though it might be really hard, still praying for that peace through it all. The unexplainable peace that only God can offer you. Now, another thing, I know I've said this probably a million times, don't try and control a situation or the people involved. If they hurt you or did something wrong, don't try and control them to fix how you're feeling. I just suggest, again, giving it to God, surrendering it to Him. He's got so much more control over it, and His will is so much better than yours. So just give it to Him. Surrender it. Now, this is another one that I think kind of softens your heart and gives you a peace of mind also, is trying to recognize God in the situation, in the mess, in the difficulty. Now, in this season of me not talking with Claire, it was really hard to see where God could be moving in this situation because it was just so hard and so heartbreaking. But looking at it afterwards, once we finally did reconcile, we were able to share a story in front of a women's retreat at our church and just talk about our situation and I hope, impact the lives of those who may be also going through a conflict with a friend or a family member. Because at this point, Claire's basically like my sister. I spent so much time with her that it was really hard to just have that kind of split. And to be able to see that God worked through and had us go through this season to be able to make an impact on others, other women, it was truly amazing. I may not have seen it at the time because I didn't think there was going to be any kind of reconciliation for a really long time, but God was still able to use that situation, that really difficult, messy situation, and turn it into His good. And that can be the same for whatever kind of situation you're going through. I promise you that. God can use your mess for so much good. Now, although you may have things happen to you that are completely out of your control, you have an amazing God by your side who is in control. Just remember that. And you just need to focus on Him. And He will work everything else out for you. You don't have to worry about being in control. Because ultimately, we're just going to screw it up. Just think about and focus on Him having all the control. I think the best way to really show that to you is by reading Matthew 14. All the disciples were on a boat, and Jesus was behind on land and decided to catch up with them. He didn't have a boat. So he started walking on water to the boat. And these disciples saw him. They're like, oh, it's a ghost. And then he's like, no, it's just me. And so he's like, don't be afraid. It's literally just me. And Peter was like, if it's you, tell me to come on the water. And Jesus was like, come on, Peter. And so Peter got down out of the boat, walked on water towards Jesus. But the wind started blowing, it started to get a little stormy out, and he freaked out. He started looking around and got all scared. He was looking around to see what was going on, why it was getting so scary out, and he started to sink. And he was like, Jesus, save me. Lord, save me. And Jesus reached him out and caught him and pulled him up. And he said, you have little faith, why do you doubt? But one thing I want to highlight about this story is that Peter was focused on Jesus while he was walking on the water. But as soon as the outside things started to distract him and he looked away, he started to sink. If you keep your eyes on Jesus and trust in Him, everything else will work out. But the second we start to look away and get distracted by other things and doubt the power he has in our lives, we start to sink. We start to lose control. We start to sink. And then we want to have control and we want to figure it out on our own, but we should focus on him. We don't need to have the control, because it's so much better to just give him all the control. And that, my friends, is all I have for today's episode. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I know I did. I love talking about this. So I will catch you guys for a new episode next week, every Friday. And stay tuned for some cool announcements coming soon. I'll see you guys next week.